Okay, so let's talk art, craft, and toys, because that's what we're going to be tackling today. These are probably the most unenjoyable things to clean up for me personally. And for the kids, it's overwhelming because there's lots of little things and it's just, they build up without you even realizing. And there's just, in terms of homeschooling, art and craft supplies are constantly in use. So when we've started one project and we've kind of put that aside and we're starting another project, you kind of have lots and lots of opportunities to create a lot of mess all at once. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of my home organisation reset series. If you are new here, my name is Tiffany and this is Hint to Life Homeschool. My channel is all about motherhood, homeschooling, and organisation. So if you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. So today we are smashing out something that I have been putting off for quite some time. To be honest, I probably would have let it go a little bit longer if it wasn't for this series that I've started, and that's exactly why I'm doing it, because it's giving me a little bit of a push to get things going a little bit better for our home and making our homeschooling life just a little bit easier in terms of putting things away, looking after our supplies, not doubling up on supplies. The amount of times that I have bought paintbrushes thinking that we lost our paintbrushes, yet to find that we found them and they're fine. It's just we didn't put them back in the right spot. So many art supplies that I've doubled up on lately due to the chaos that you're about to see. We have a really minimal system in our linen. We kind of always have been fairly minimal with all of that stuff, like towels and sheets and doona covers and all that sort of stuff. I tried to always keep it fairly minimal, which means our linen cupboard, which is a walk-in cupboard, you'll see soon, is kind of a bit bare because we don't actually fill it with all the things. So it came to me in a dream that we swapped our hallway cupboard contents, which is all of our homeschooling supply stuff, art supplies, toys and bits and pieces. We swapped them around. So that's where this whole thing came from. So I got up that morning after the dream and I started rearranging things, and then I kind of got busy with other stuff and I never actually finished it. It is a big project in my defense and I just did not have time to commit with that. But also I just thought I'll move a little bit and see if it actually fits well, if it feels okay, if it makes sense. So I just moved like the main linen things like towels and sheets into the hallway cupboard, and I moved as much as I could of the art supplies and bits and pieces into the linen cupboard. And now I've got a little bit of everything all over the place. So it has made more mess than what it needed to. So I'm going to first tidy that up and just create a little bit of order around the categories of things that I have. And then I can figure out what sort of container systems I actually need in order to store these things and present them, because I want to have them presented in a way that we can see what they are, or easily have them labeled. So right now you're going to just see a shambles of wonderful art and linen supplies all together. So it's gonna I just wanted to give you context behind, this is not how I normally do things. I did have it a certain way, changed it around, but it was a bit half done. So I just wanted to give context for that. I'm going to give you a little tour of the current situation and I'll talk you through some of the ideas that I have, but I'm also just going to fill you in with what I'm doing first as well. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of a rundown. So these are some of the toys that I've taken out of my daughter's room. So she's got her doll's house there. I'm hoping that I might be able to fit that in the actual cupboard. as well, but we'll just see how we go. Or we might want to put that back into her room and just take all the toys out so she can choose which toys she wants to play with. And then we've got all of these bins which I just want to go through and resort. And we had this IKEA under bed storage system in her room as well, and it just got a little bit out of control. So we just want to start separating some of these categories and try and get some order, because they're not being played with. That's the problem. When you see that, you don't feel inspired to play, you just feel a bit overwhelmed, and that's how they feel. So I'm trying to kind of reignite their interest in some of these items that haven't been played with for a while. I used to do a system where I would rotate toys, but that has since kind of changed since we've had some room changes, bedroom changes, and more toy storage within the bedrooms now. We kind of brought it all back into the room. I think that was a big mistake because we've got stuff everywhere now. I think the kids work really better. Look, I think the kids play better with less toys. They have more space on the floor. So we're going to go back to storing, not all, but a majority of the toys that they have in this toy cupboard as well. Okay, so this is my hallway cupboard. We currently have, this side is going to be, I'm going to designate to kitchen items and things. And this side is currently a little bit of art and a little bit of linen. We have a little bit of everything and a lot of mess. So, but this was my attempt at just trialing whether this would work, this whole idea would work. And it definitely works. It works really well, but I'd like to refine it. So I got a couple of these bins. Again, I love these containers. They're actually a small laundry basket from Big W. So I'll link them. I've used them before. I used them in my last video. As I said, this is episode 2 of a series that I've created for home organization. So I will definitely link below the episode 1, so you can go back if you haven't seen that. But it just kind of gives you an idea of what I've got going on here. Again, I'm not focusing on this cupboard. I'm just taking all of the art and craft and toys out of this cupboard, and I'm going to move it over to here, which is, this is the walk-in linen, what was linen cupboard, still kind of is. So yeah, as you can see, it's got big, really high top shelves, which is great. And we've got just a little bit of everything going on in here. I mean, you can't even walk in, but it is a walk-in cupboard, I assure you. I think it's going to be a really good transformation, to be honest. So that's what we have going on. Hello, Batman. He wants to know what's going on too. Okay, so I mean, some of this is going to have to go, like our heater. I mean, we only bring that out if one of us is sick during winter. We generally don't need a heater. We have air conditioning that is a heater. So it's just a matter of taking everything out, organizing it into its categories, and then figuring out the containment, how we're going to, you know, how much we want to contain and how we're going to do that. So you can follow along while I figure all that out. Okay, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to bring everything out that's on the floor in the cupboard out, and I'm going to start sorting it onto the table, because if I do it in the hallway, it's going to stop everyone from being able to walk through, and it's just going to create more mess. So if I bring it out onto the table, I'll be able to see it with fresh eyes and start to actually see how much stuff I've got to work with. Okay, so I've got my daughter looking through all of her slime, her beloved slime collection that she's got here. Some of the stuff she's willing to part with, and other bits she wants to hold on to, which is totally fine. It's just all about keeping what we want and getting rid of what we don't. Hey, Riley.
Yes.
Yeah. So while she's going through all that, I'm going to start making my way through all of these containers and systems that I used to have in place. So you can see I had some little drawer systems. Some of it's still good, like the Play-Doh stuff we keep on top of pretty well because it is played with regularly, though our Play-Doh supply has definitely gotten low, because whenever we have a good habit of whenever Play-Doh starts to go yucky, we get rid of it straight away. Got some random things in here, lots of bits and pieces to go through, whether we want to actually keep or toss or give away. Just lots of projects that we kind of, thought we'd do and then never got through. So lots to go through. We've also got, coloured paper, which, like, the system's pretty good. We can keep this. We've got tissue paper in here. We use that a lot with art and craft. So some stuff is all good, and I'm going to keep these drawers. I love these drawers. I've gotten a few more drawers to add in, and obviously some of this stuff needs to just go away as well. And then we've got toys. So everything's all mixed up. We've got to sort through it. This is clearly not working because we've got more than the container can hold. So that is, useless if we can't sit things on top of it. So we're going to go ahead and change that container out. We've got some blocks, but clearly that container is a bit big for that. We might be able to find other blocks or something else that we can mix in with it or work that out. Then we've got like an abundance of felt and fabric, and just like the sheer quantity of fabric is just, yeah, we gotta do something about that, because we really don't need that much or use that much. And then we've got old systems that I've not kept up with, which is our little toolbox. But that is simply because we just, we just used it so often and didn't clean it up. The system was a little bit, we had too much for the little containers and the system that was there. So it's just gotten a little bit out of control. Okay, so clearly I've made a nice big mess here, so I'm going to work my way through all of this stuff. I'm going to declutter, take out all the things that we don't actually use anymore, that we don't need, that we can give away if it's in good quality condition. Otherwise it's just going to go straight to the bin, or recycle if it's recyclable. So I'm going to get some boxes for that. And then I'm going to just work my way through, and as I'm kind of finding things, like, I'm going to start with the systems that are actually working. So I showed you a couple of the drawers that had, paper, colored paper and bits and pieces for our craft. Those can go straight back into that cupboard. They still work, they're still perfect. So I'm just going to add to that. All right, so this is the situation with the walk-in cupboard looks pretty amazing. I gave it out a really good vacuum because it was super dusty and disgusting, but now it's all clean. We've got a couple of little hooks we can utilize over here, or we might change that up, I'm not sure, but we will see how we go. Okay, so at this point, I've gotten a couple of things in the space now, and I'm just kind of getting my head around like how much space it actually takes, these things actually take up, and kind of estimating how much more I can kind of fit in, and whether I'm going to be able to fit everything in the actual space that I want it to be in, which is, you know, essentially the goal. Like I said, this has never been used like this before. It's always been a linen cupboard, so I'm new to this. It's gonna take some rearranging and some negotiation, and maybe even some compromise with what we can fit into the space. But this is my container, this is how much I can fit. This cupboard is what is going to hold these things that I want it to hold, and if it can't fit it all in, then I have to compromise on what things I need to get rid of or find to put somewhere else, which will then mean I need to take some of that stuff away. When I get to this stage, I tend to get a little overwhelmed and deflated and kind of might even give up. And then, you know, my old self might have just tried to shove the rest of the stuff that's on the floor just back in the cupboard, shut the door and forget it even happened. But because I'm not doing that anymore, and I am on a search to really solve this issue with our art and craft and our toys storage, I'm going to see it through. And like with everything, I find Freely really helps with that. So I'm going to just check in and see where I'm at with my organization. So I really love to use this as kind of like a motivational tool, and keeps me focused on what steps I've done and what steps I need to do. So I have got, okay, so what I've got going on here is I've got declutter and remove rubbish, set aside donations in a box. So I've done that. I've decluttered pretty much everything. I'm sure I will still come across a little bit of rubbish and bits and pieces that we need to get rid of. But essentially that is essentially done. So I'll mark that off. Then I said, okay, so sort into like groups. So I'm still kind of in that process. This is not I'm still kind of in that process, so I'm not going to check that off. I'm still sorting it into groups, because I'm taking things out and like assessing whether they go into the cupboard now as they are in that container, or whether I need to find a new container, or double up the categories. Sometimes there can be 2 categories in the one container. By categories, I mean, like, for example, paper, or do I want to mix tissue paper with, you know, colored paper, or that sort of thing. So, or, you know, Play-Doh with slime, or all of that sort of stuff. It's essentially like, what is the label that I'm going to put on the container, so that we all know that's where that thing lives. That's essentially what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create systems that are easy for the kids. You know, that's why I've kept the drawers down lower. I mean, that's more work for me to access, but it's not work for them to access. It's on their level. And they can literally just, these are not heavy, they can be lifted out and taken to the table if they want to use a lot of paper. If they want to play Play-Doh, they can literally lift these 2 out together and carry them out to the table if they want to use that, which is really cool. That's why I love these little drawer systems. They're super easy to open, see what's in there. Do I want that? Don't I want that? And I'll show you at the end of the video my little secret weapon. Something that I think is really, really cool, and it really helps with putting things away. it's been a game changer. And I think with this system being finished, it's going to be even next level. Like, there's not going to be any excuse to not putting things away for myself and for the kids. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm still kind of into the sorting into groups, and obviously not yet at labeling the containers yet. So I'm going to keep going. I'm feeling a little bit more pumped to finish this now. Okay, so as you can see, I've started kind of getting there. It's progressing, and it's also progressing out there as well. I'm getting to that stage now where I'm left with a lot of little random things, especially to do with crafts. So I'll take you out there and I'll kind of run you through what I've got left over as well. Because this is kind of the thing that happens, and this is the bit that I actually really hate about organizing art and craft stuff. And it's gonna just come down to, do I even use it, and running through some questions as to whether I actually keep the stuff. Because the thing with art and craft stuff is you kind of go through phases where you're using a lot of something, and then all of a sudden you've lost that interest and moving on to something else, and those things can be quite costly as well. So you have to make executive decisions around, are you going to wear that cost and are you going to let go of it because you're not using it anymore, or are you going to keep it and hope that you might use it in the future, or do you just give it away to someone that will use it? So it's just a matter of running through those questions and working out what fits best to what you do with it. So I've kind of gotten I'm starting to kind of get a bit of a system happening here. I've got lots of, I've got our Play-Doh section, our paper and tissue paper section, we've got our decoration section, and we've even got our chalk and crayons section. So it's all kind of flowing really, really well. So here is the trolley. This is my little secret weapon. So you've probably seen this kind of flying around here and there. This is something that keeps me completely sane. And my aim now is I've cleared off. I've actually we used to store a lot of our art and craft stuff in these trolleys here, in these trays in the trolley. But like I said, we outgrew that. We had more than what we could contain. So obviously it's all been moved in here, including these, which used to sit on the side here, but we always knocked them off. And I really wanted an actual home for them. These are quite expensive pencils and bits and pieces. So we really wanted to look after them. So keeping them on here is really great. And when we need them, we can take them off and put them on the side and take the trolley to where we're actually working. So that works really, really well. And they're really easy to move. Now I would probably do that, but just until the kids get used to, because obviously it does take a little bit of, lining things up to get it to hang. So just for the beginning, I will definitely be doing that myself. But essentially, I'm going to do in one of my other videos, I'm going to run you through my homeschool, my actual physical book organization, because that is an entirely different, like another video entirely on its own. But I just wanted to show you that these shelves are now empty so that I can take, and I hope you can see this, you probably can't, I'll move this back a little bit, so you can take, the paints. I've got these little paint brushes, and you can take that and you can pop it on the shelf here, and then I can grab whatever color paints I want. I can pop them in down the bottom here because they're a bit taller, and I can take this over to the table, or the art, the homeschool table that we've got, and we've got everything we need. There's no back and forth. There's no chance for, when we're done, we can actually bring this back and empty everything out into the cupboard where it belongs. So that's kind of my little secret weapon with putting away. It's like one little process, and the kids love moving this around the house. The kids love moving this around the house. So I don't know why I was whispering that. It's like some secret, but it's not. Like they love moving it around the house. And it just gives them something fun to do when they're tidying up. So that's really cool. I think that a trolley is definitely a homeschool staple. It is definitely something that I wish I had really early on, but these things were just not even on my radar when I started homeschooling. But my goodness, does it get used every single day. So if you're kind of looking for things that can really help you out with the organization, this is probably your number one thing to go to. And they're inexpensive too, which is fantastic. So especially if you pair it with these kinds of systems as well. Okay, so the big reveal. All right. So we've got our smocks, our art smocks on these hooks, which is great. I was happy that I could actually use them. Obviously the cart can come out, and here we've got, so I've actually decided to put a couple of containers of toys into the garage. I'm going to have a kind of like a rotation happening even in here, so I think that that's going to work really well. So currently we have our dinosaur collection that the kids want to build on with lots of other animals and things, and they're really into megafauna, so we're going to try and track some of those things, items down as well. Building shops. Okay, so I've done these little labels with just printed out on the computer and laminated them, and then glue gunned them to the containers, which I think looks pretty good. The kids really like it. It's a bit of fun, and it really gives them ideas on what they can play. So there's the Duplo, and we've got all of the shopping type items in that container there with the play money. They love that. And then on this shelf we've got Play-Doh, and we have filled up our Play-Doh. I purchased some more, so they're pretty happy about that. Paper, so coloured paper and cards. We use that obviously quite a lot. Tissues, so tissue paper, crepe paper, rolls of things. These are great. We use these so much. general craft items. So I'll probably go through these again and maybe micro sort, but at the moment I'm just trying to create larger containment for them. But these are just jam jars, and I love recycling these. They're fantastic. And then I saw them upside down because the kids, you know, like that. You don't see it. You can't see what's happening, so it just makes sense to have them upside down like that. And then we've got crayons galore and pastels, chalk pastels. So that's kind of like our creation sort of shelf. Then above here we've got adhesives, so it's glue, glue gun, glue refills, ribbons and like rope and things like that. We've got our stamp collection, and this is kind of a miscellaneous drawer as well, so there's kind of a few little bits and pieces in there, but mostly just for stamping and things, which are great for experiments and stuff, decoration, card making, all that sort of thing. Jewelry, we need to update our jewelry supply. And then we've got drawing, watercolor type things. Got a few stencils in there as well. Actually, the kids have been watercolor painting out on their art table. So they're doing that right now. So half of that is missing for that reason. So then we've got, this is kind of going to be our little station where we put things that haven't been finished yet. So we've got some clay work there that we did at co-op. Then we've just got smaller containers with appropriate things with the labels. We've got blocks, Minecraft toys, so those are like little figurines. Then we've got sensory toys, so these are like things that the kids can play with during reading time. So that would come out, I'd pop that on the coffee table, and that would literally, they would help themselves to whatever they feel that they need at the time. There's Playmobil over here. We don't have a huge supply of that, but there's a few bits and pieces there that Riley likes to play with. There's LOL dolls, that's to the brim, but we're not buying any more LOL dolls because that's all we need. Cars, that's also quite full. They love playing with the cars as well. That's also a really great sensory toy too, so I bring that out quite a bit. And these are animals. So these have got, we've got a wooden barn, and these are all like farm type animals and things that we've collected, including the Yowie toys as well. And then up here we've just got kinetic sand, nature craft, whatever we find out in nature, and also there's rice play in there as well, because I usually mix that into the rice play into a separate container. So we have had plenty of extra space, so we have taken advantage of that and put our most played board games up here. We still have more than that, but I like to not have too much on display because then it creates a sense of it kind of, if you have too much, I find these become invisible. So if you have just a few to choose from, it makes things, especially for people that struggle with that executive functioning, decision making type thing, they can get really bogged down with what they want to actually decide to do. So just having a few favorites is really, really handy. And then if they still can't decide, then you can kind of go to the other area where we've got some other things as well. So I will have, like I said, toy rotation. I'm going to have board game rotation as well, so things don't get too, too difficult to choose. So yeah, those are our favorites at the moment that we're playing quite a bit. We just got this one recently and it's a real favorite too. Okay, so then we've got like card games and smaller type games in here as well. So that the whole thing would come out and go on the coffee table, and we would just focus on those games. A little project that we got for Easter, which we haven't gotten to yet. And then the top shelf is literally just so learning boards, things that I don't like to have out all the time. I just bring out for certain days. And then we've got our fabric and telescope. We've got binoculars, a second pair of binoculars in there, and some night goggle glasses and bits and pieces that we don't really use a lot of, but we want to be able to, you know, put it in the back of the car if we're going camping or where we know we're actually going to use it. And then we've got my sewing machine and sewing supplies up there as well, which I don't use as much as I would like to, but it's there and ready to be used when I want to actually use it. So this is the cupboard, and I think it turned out really well. It feels really organized. It feels maintainable. It's not perfect, and that's what I like. If I made this perfect, I know that it wouldn't stay that way, and then I would start getting anxious about the kids messing it up and all that sort of thing. And nobody wants that. Like, I'm not going to be watching over the top of everybody and going, did you put that away properly? That's just not the way I like to roll. So I like the fact that there is room for movement in here. There is space between things, so it's not overwhelming. And I like the fact that, like I said, it's not perfect. So there is room for error. It doesn't matter if things get put in the wrong spot. It wouldn't take much for me to re-sort it. The intention is that this is an introduction to learning how to sort our things out a bit better and to look after them. And I think it's achievable, and the kids really like this. They love the labels. They understand it. They've had it for a couple of hours now, and they've been into every single thing, and it still looks fantastic. So there might be, you know, a drawer that doesn't get put away quite, you know, symmetrical to the others, and like little imperfections like that, and that's okay. That doesn't bother me. Okay, so we're done. Thank you so much for staying to the end. I just wanted to say that this project took around 5 hours to do. So even though everything's like, you know, time, you know, increased time and all that sort of stuff, it took a significant amount of time to get to that stage. So I think that the key is that if you don't have the time, chip away at it, you know, section it off into like just dealing with paints and then just dealing with paper and, you know, attacking it that way. I'm exhausted. It has been a huge project. And I still haven't, I'm only halfway. I still have bits and pieces out here that I need to address for the other hallway cupboard, but I do know what a significant difference it's going to make to our everyday life, especially in, you know, the aspects of homeschooling and just knowing where things are, because there is nothing more frustrating than trying to do a lesson on something or following a, you know, child-led interest and knowing that we have that awesome thing to complement that, to bring that to life, and not being able to find it. That's half the problem. And that's, you know, the kind of style of homeschooling that we love. And to not be able to do that effectively and efficiently while that interest is fresh and new and exciting is so frustrating for me. And I feel, you know, I feel that frustration can really affect your day and affects your overall mental health over and over and over again, because you feel frustrated. I feel frustrated with myself when I can't find something. I feel responsible for it. And I just wanted to take those elements away from, you know, our everyday, because it adds up. And then by the end of the week, you're just feeling like you could have done so much better. And no one wants to feel that. And this is what all of this organization reset series is all about. It's not so much about making our things look pretty or making the house look nice and clean. It really isn't about that. It really is truly about the reset for our homeschool, for our days to become less work and more fun, and for all of us to become accountable for our things and to teach that less is more, and to have more floor space to play is priority, and to not be overwhelmed by our belongings is one of the most important things to focus on as well. And I think teaching that from as early on as possible is how we avoid those things in adulthood too. I hope that instills an understanding in my kids that, to respect our belongings and to look after our things, and that if we do buy well and buy once rather than this, disposable approach to things, it really makes us feel proud of our things. It makes us use them as intended. And if we don't, it makes us realize why we didn't, and to give them to someone else that needs them. So yeah, that's my thoughts around this whole series and why I'm doing it, and that it is a very different, this is not just about like organization, it's so much more to me. And I feel like for homeschoolers that is a constant battle. So that's what this series is all about. And I hope that maybe you might want to share with me down in the comments below what your frustrations are most in terms of organization in your homeschool. And it might make me think about possibly a solution for videos, or a theme that, for future videos as well. And I just love hearing from you. So please share your frustrations around a homeschool organization, or things that you've actually solved as well, because I think it always helps to share information together, because then we can help each other out. Thanks guys for watching. If you liked what you see and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And I'll see you in the next video.